Good evening. Welcome to TCM. I'm your host, Ben Mankiewicz. Tonight, a lineup of movies starring one of the leading ladies of the screwball comedy, Carole Lombard. Born Jane Alice Peters in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Lombard grew up in Southern California, making her first screen appearance at the age of 12 in the 1921 silent film A Perfect Crime, directed by Alan Dwan. How she was discovered is one of those great Hollywood stories. You perhaps know it, but it's a favorite of mine, as is Carole Lombard, so I'm telling it again. Story goes that Dwan was in a meeting at Paramount when he looked out the window and he saw a bunch of kids playing baseball in the street. One girl, Jane Peters, was among them. I saw this cute little tomboy knocking the hell out of the other kids, playing better than them, Dwan is quoted as saying, and I needed someone of her type in my picture. Dwan found her mother, got permission, and cast little Jane. 4 years later, at 16 years old, she was under contract at Fox. The studio changed her name to Carole Lombard. But just a year into her deal, a terrible car accident scarred the left side of Lombard's face. Fox dropped her, but Lombard, known for her unbreakable spirit, did not let that stop her. Once recovered, she secured a contract with slapstick pioneer Max Sennett. In Sennett's production company, Lombard honed her comedy chops in a series of films before making the transition to talkies in 1929. Shortly thereafter, she landed a contract at Paramount. Lombard finally broke through as a star in 1934 when director Howard Hawks encouraged her to embrace her natural zaniness in the comedy 20th Century for Columbia. We begin tonight, though, with a lesser-known comedy Lombard made for Universal in 1936, Love Before Breakfast. Lombard plays a stubborn and spirited socialite who thinks she's in love with her fiancé, played by Cesar Romero. When he unexpectedly decides to take a job in Japan, a new suitor begins to move in on Lombard, a manipulative businessman who's also Romero's boss, played by Preston Foster. This film has all the ingredients of a screwball comedy, though the main attraction is Lombard. She is electric on screen, a sparkling storm of glamour, of wit, of charm. Lombard is the perfect screwball heroine, smart, feisty, and fast-talking, all qualities Carole Lombard possessed in real life. The screenplay, an adaptation of a story by Faith Baldwin, was adapted by Herbert Fields with help from several others, including an uncredited contributor who, a few years later, as a writer-director, helped define the screwball comedy with films like The Great McGinty, The Palm Beach Story, and The Lady Eve, Preston Sturges. Like Sturges, Lombard helped shape the genre, eventually earning the mantle, the queen of screwball comedy. From 1936, directed by Walter Lang, Love Before Breakfast. The same year Love Before Breakfast came to theaters, Carole Lombard carved out her place in history as the first lady of screwball comedy with her performance opposite William Powell and My Man Godfrey in 1936. Earlier in the decade, Powell and Lombard made 2 films together. They also fell in love. They were even married from 1931 to 1933. When William Powell was loaned out from MGM to play the lead in My Man Godfrey, he was slated to star opposite actress Constance Bennett. But even though he and Lombard were divorced by then, Powell campaigned to have Lombard cast instead. Powell was not pining for his ex-wife. He was in love with Jean Harlow at this point, but he knew Lombard was the best choice to pull off a fast-paced screwball comedy, and he was right. Lombard earned the only Academy Award nomination of her career for her performance in My Man Godfrey. A year later, she became the highest-paid actress in Hollywood. Coming up, Carole Lombard is looking to marry for money in a charming screwball comedy co-starring Fred MacMurray. Hands Across the Table is next on TCM.
Next on TCM, Hands Across the Table, then Virtue, and later, Siren of the Tropics. The silents are seductive on TCM tonight.